office. Straight talk, no chaser. I'm your host this morning, Rhea Richardson-George, and I'm really happy to be in your company. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. Viewers, this morning we are chatting with our next guest. We're talking this morning with assemblymen, secretaries, assistant secretaries. We're getting into their background, a little bit about, their accomplishments, achievements, and their goals for the future. Well, this morning, sitting with us, we have Assemblyman Trevor James. He is the assemblyman for the electoral district Scarborough, Mount Grace. He is also the Secretary for Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Development. And we're really happy to have him on the program this morning as we go a little bit deeper. Straight talk, no chaser. Good morning and welcome to you, Assemblyman James.
Good morning, Rhea. It's a pleasure to be here on Tobago Updates. And hopefully I can do well this morning.
All right. Well, we're happy that you are happy to be here. Yesterday morning we had a guest on set with us, and this was Assemblyman Baines, and he alluded to your middle name. So, he threw it out there, but I'd leave it up to you. He threw it out there.
No, the name
he
is
said it was a very distinguished middle name.
The name is as it appears on the ballot.
Yes.
So it's Trevor Williamson-James.
Yes. It's quite distinguished.
Well, my mother was an English woman.
That she was indeed. That she was indeed. No, I'm really glad that we're able to chat with you this morning. So let's start off this morning by chatting with you on the man behind politics. Before he became assemblyman, tell us a little bit about who Trevor James was. Trevor Williamson-James was.
Well, Rhea, firstly, I never saw myself as a politician. I grew up in a house where politics was always talked about and on the front burner, and all the bigger brothers and so on were into some aspect of the politics, certainly commenting on the politics. But I always stayed away from it. I decided to assist the PDP in 2017 and eventually got into the politics officially in 2021 when there was a need for a candidate to replace hopefully to replace Mr. London in Scarborough, Mount Grace, in Scarborough Cornwall at the time. And there were no takers. And I was asked to stand in the breach, and I did. And it's been a journey, but the Trevor James is maybe best described as a glorified carpenter.
A glorified carpenter, you
A
say?
glorified carpenter. I am.
I didn't see that one coming.
I am, in fact, a carpenter. I left school, went to Trinidad, learned the business of construction from my brother, who was a contractor at the time, and came back to Tobago to see how I could, as my mother would say, make myself into a man. And so that is my history. I stayed out of the politics. I tried not to comment, and eventually, because of how things began to look in Tobago, I decided that I might be able to make a change on the island, in this nation that we call Tobago, a change for the better. And I offered myself, my expertise, my experiences to the political party of the PDP at the time, to the TPP now. And I think that I have distinguished myself as secretary. I have tried through my conversations in the House, through my conversations at the division, my actions at the division as a manager to try to get into the minds of the Tobagonian, to begin to understand that we have been at this autonomy game in my lifetime since 1975-76. And we are essentially in the same place, accepting marginal improvements, taking little and living long, as we just say, and we are not getting anywhere. And we've existed on promises and the possibility of a change. And one of the philosophies I work with is that if you don't do things yourself, nobody's going to do it for you. Nobody's going to give you anything. Everybody act in their best interest, including every Trinidadian, every politician in Trinidad. And so my actions at the division stems from the example that I think A.N.R. Robinson set, in which he was given an act watered down as it was in 1980, with one secretary to run the entire T of Tobago. And his first action was to name other secretaries and defy the law. And the philosophy is that you cannot achieve change by obedience to colonial laws. In no sphere of life, you cannot achieve change if your mindset is, I have to obey this law that comes from outside of you. And so my actions, though judged unfairly at some times, is meant to inspire a young Tobagonian into thinking that, listen, despite the opposition, despite the small talk, we have to go steadfastly forward, step after step, going in the direction that we want to go.
All right. Now you went a lot into the program there, because you delved already into your role as secretary. But we want to come back just a little bit, because we want to get a little bit more into the background of the man Trevor Williamson James before politics. Now you said that you were one of the younger ones. The older brothers were actively involved in politics. You didn't see yourself getting into, but then there came a time when you felt there was a need to jump right in.
Yes.
Back then, what were the political entities that existed when the older brothers were engaged in politics, if you can recall?
Well, it was, Robertson came back, of course, in 71, 72, after beating APT, I think in 61, and joining the PNM, and, being one of the leading members of the PNM. I think he was deputy political leader, minister of finance, and so on, and found himself on different ends of the political philosophy with Eric Williams. And he came back to Tobago to build a base as a Tobagonian, aspiring to redevelop and recapture what was this Tobago-ness that was being lost in Trinidad and was being overshadowed and maybe assimilated into Trinidad. And so that philosophy of saying, after forming the DAC, and saying, listen, we have the necessary resources available to us, and we have to develop this thing ourselves, is the philosophy that existed and was talked about, and that was the inspiring thing, apart from Bob Marley and the West Indies cricket, that was inspiring for the whole region. That was what was inspiring to our family, that here was this man, saying that Tobago can in fact achieve what we have aspired to. So there was the DAC, there was the ULF, I think, with Kapil Dio, and of course there was the PNM. Those are the parties that we kind of knew about, and this in Belgarden, of course, is a very political village, so the politics was discussed every time you went to the standpipe to fill a bucket with water, and every time you hear the men by the side, they're liming, and all they talk was politics or cricket, or of course reggae and Bob Marley and the struggle of African people and all of that. So that was the foundation of how we grew up as young men, 7, 8. It was before we were in secondary school, by the way. 9, 10 years, and we began to...
Very young.
Yeah, the politics was talked about from a very young age back then. And we were all inspired by what was happening around us.
And so you decided to get involved, I guess based on the track record of the older brothers, and what you saw that was happening within the public space. You decided to get involved, throw your hat into the ring. Now, you would have gone up against then Assemblyman over London, former Chief Sec, the electoral district.
For that district,
sorry,
yes.
the district. Did you feel at that time that those were huge shoes to fill, or you knew off the bat, Trevor James, you have what it takes?
Well, in my world, you identify the challenge and you make a plan to overcome it. And so because of my background in project management and construction and so on, we always think solutions. And so my team and I identified what we think the solution would be for someone trying to replace a former chief sec, and how we need to sell myself to the public and what we need to sell. And so the vision to transform Tobago is what we thought would inspire the people in and around Scarborough, And so we sat back. I remember sitting with a couple guys an afternoon and saying, you know, boy, we have to come up, I had to come up with something. And we came up with the Scarborough Development Plan one afternoon, and by the next week it was on paper. And so we tried to sell something that would inspire not only Scarborough, Calder Hall, Mount Grace, but the entire T of Tobago. And I think after a year, people began to buy into the vision in a majority in the district. And so thankfully I was voted in to represent Scarborough, Mount Grace, and I give thanks.
Right. Now, I want to talk a little bit about that that plan for Scarborough. Where are we to date? Tell us about some of the changes that have been made, notable changes that have been made, and how they have been working thus far.
Well, like all big plans, you know, Patrick Manning came up with Vision 2020. The UNC is now rolling out something big to transform Trinidad. Every jurisdiction at some point in time must come up with transformative ideas and projects to reignite economic activity and to move the island forward, to move the territory forward. We did that. We pursued the project as far as we could. We had some of the biggest consultations across the island, and we hired a consultant who hired a group of international consultants to develop the project. And we have a feasibility study online. We have the designs online. We went out to tender. We had proponents we were negotiating with, and both who required a sovereign guarantee. And the government in Port of Spain has not seen it fit yet to give us a sovereign guarantee. And that's one of the autonomy things that even after we have identified that Tobago is stagnant, even after we have sold to the PNM and we sent the documents to the Prime Minister, to every Minister of Government to say, listen, this is what Tobago requires. We're still where we are, still waiting for a letter from the government that says you can get into a PPP arrangement for a project that essentially funds itself. And the government still refusing to do that. And it's something we continue to negotiate with the current government on, and to see whether we can change their minds before other actions are taken.
All right. And I mean, that was just one. Let's talk a little bit about some of how your life has changed since taking office. This is 4 years now. What are some of the accomplishments within your career, your life, or not? What are some of the changes? Some of the changes within your space. How has life changed for you?
Well, everybody knows my face now, I suppose. I get vilified and I get supported, and you know, in the politics, you have to be thick-skinned and learn to accept small talk. So your life is scrutinized, everything you do and say, and things that you don't do and say are attributed to you as well. Because there is this propensity, I think, we have in Tobago to pull people down unnecessarily. So I've had to put on my big boy boots and take the talk and decide not to respond at times, and decide to get on and respond at sometimes. So that has been a challenge, because for me, I don't take kindly to people attacking me and without defense. So it's been a challenge to decide what matters to let slide and what matters I should attack. In my personal life, of course, the country knows about my wife's challenges and so on. So that has been a difficult time for the family. But we're happy that she's here with us, and we do our best for her. My biggest daughter has returned to serve. She's back at the hospital now, having completed her studies abroad and her internship in England and so on. She's begun to serve, and my second daughter is on her way, and my young son hopefully is on his way as well. So life is measurably good. The family is still intact, and we give thanks for the blessings that we have.
All right, but we take the opportunity this morning to send out a special good morning to Mrs. James. I trust that you're listening. I trust that you're watching and listening, but a special good morning going out to you this morning. Yeah. But we're going to take a quick break, viewers. When we come back, we are going to be still chatting this morning with Assemblyman James, and we want to talk about some of the major accomplishments over the past 4 years. Remember, straight talk, no chaser, beneath the surface. Join us after the break.
The passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor.
Our world is filled with rhythm. Rhythm that's unapologetic, infectious, timeless. Rhythm is commitment in action. It's how we show up for each other with unrelenting support that goes the distance. Rhythm lives in the tiny beats of our most intimate moments and the seismic roars of our biggest achievements. Rhythm is resilience in motion. So, even when things go out of sync, we do what it takes to bring the rhythm back. At Flow, we understand your rhythm because we live it. That's why we're dedicated to building a network as resilient as you, with a team of familiar faces working every day to keep you on beat. You're at the heart of everything we do, and our commitment is to keep your rhythm flowing, no matter what.
Cafe, the buffet restaurant that specializes in all your tasty local dishes for breakfast and for lunch. Breakfast includes coconut bake and sada roti served with chokers, bull joil and sausages in tomato sauce. Not forgetting beef and cheese pies, shepherd's pie, macaroni pie and rice in various styles. Meat served in a variety of flavors, garden salads and pasta salads. All this accompanied by fruit juices, coconut water, your choice of a great combination to appease your taste buds. So call us today to order, as we are here to accommodate your busy schedules or if you are having a cooking day off.
The Caribbean is more than just a place. It's a spirit, resilient, vibrant and full of possibility. Rooted in connection, driven by community. It's who we are at the heart of everything we do. For over 150 years, we've been right here, invested in the Caribbean, its people and its progress. And today, we're going even further. Liberty Business, rooted in the Caribbean, committed to you.
Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Let's go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hear my neighbor. 60,000 people strong.
Viewers, welcome back this morning. This is Beneath the Surface, Straight Talk, No Chaser. We continue chatting with Assemblyman Trevor James. But just before we continue our discussion, are you a master at making the perfect cocktail? Or maybe you're a wizard with an espresso machine. Well, the folks at Poetry Cafe are hiring and looking for you. They have openings for a mixologist and a barista to join their team. If you've got the skills, don't wait. Submit your application online at poetrycafe@gmail.com. That's poetrycafe@gmail.com. Well, viewers, we continue chatting this morning with Assemblyman James. Now, just before we took the break, we asked about some of the noticeable changes in and around Scarborough. So we want to go back to that before we talk about some of the accomplishments within the division, etc. So when we look at Scarborough, within the past 4 years, what, for that person who has been away from Tobago for the past 5 years or so, what can they expect? What are some of the notable changes? We're talking Scarborough, but I mean, if we broaden the scope a little bit here, I see you uncross the legs. Yes, he's ready to get into it. So let's talk about some of the noticeable changes in and around Scarborough, and then we can widen the scope.
Rhea, after we built the road through Friendship, there's an expectation that we could do great things in Tobago. The challenge of Scarborough is connected to the movement of people in and out of the city, especially if we are trying to build a new cruise terminal or bring more people into Scarborough, significantly more people. You see what happens with Carnival now and how the road that we built through Smithfield coming up to Dodge Fort has worked and is working. But we have not been able to do the things that we've envisioned for Scarborough simply because we don't have the funds. We, at the Division of Infrastructure, since 2023, our budget has been $41 million for development projects. I want to put it in context.
Yes.
$41 million when the wages for the development workers is $41.5 million. I think this year our budget is $33 million. And so we are making the proverbial bread out of stone and trying to execute projects in Tobago. And that has been the challenge. The Division of Finance and the Secretary of Finance, both Secretaries of Finance now, have been doing their best to via money from other places into the division so we could execute work. And I took a decision when I came in and saw the state of the accounts and the amount of debt that the division was in, that we can't pay for works that we can't see, that we had to rely on the internal staff to do a lot of the heavy lifting for us. And so a lot of the works you see around, the works are being done by the development team with monies wired from different places to give them the material to work.
Question, but this being the largest allocation that Tobago has ever seen, can we expect more to be done? I mean, not saying that enough isn't being done, but can we expect more? Because you indicated that one of the challenges was allocation, is always money. But can we expect more to be done with?
Well, I want to be guarded. I want to be guarded in my response because that's a response more for the Chief Secretary, maybe the Secretary of Finance. But as Secretary for Infrastructure now, I would expect that the reprioritization that will happen today will identify more resources to the division. And if that happens, then absolutely the public can expect more.
What would you like to see done? Let's say you have access to exactly what you need, all of the funding that you require to get to see changes done in and around Scarborough. What would be the first thing that you would tackle in and around Scarborough?
It's difficult to have a first because several things need to be done at the same time. But Scarborough needs a major facelift.
Yes.
And so some beautification projects will be high up on the agenda. But the traffic situation for a small island is one of the big problems we want to solve. We have at the division come up with a whole series of road networks that would move people in and out of the city faster. And so we want to see that done. Some beautification projects, that road network to be done, better sidewalks, a cleaner city. Those are the kind of things that we want to see done if we had all the money. Of course, building out the port and so on will be maybe number one on the priority if we had the money.
All right. Now, I'll tell you, I live in the East, Mr. James, and one of the pet peeves is the lack of sidewalks on that Windward Road. And I know we talk in Scarborough. Yes, even in Scarborough, there are areas that there are no sidewalks. You have to walk on the side of the road, and it. One would think. I mean, what is apart from the funding, what are some of the other challenges that you face in getting some of these? Will these be low-hanging fruits? Getting some of these initiatives up and running off the ground?
There's a conversation about low-hanging fruits, right? You know, we have to get to the place in Tobago where we remember what our history is. We build houses and move into house with galvanized window and wood window and just a little plyboard by the sink and so on, because we know, although we don't realize that we know that we have to go after the big thing first, and then the small things will naturally come.
Okay.
And I think essentially we have to remember that. You know, when I was young, there was a guy who was going to buy a car. I don't remember that. And he went and he buy a deck. Them days, new deck was in. He buy a deck and he buy speakers. And so we asked him, so what are you going to do now? He said, I put it below my bed and I'll go and buy some rims, right? And he never bought a car. So we have to remember that if we don't seek to achieve the big things, they will never come, and we will focus ourselves only on these supposedly low-hanging fruits. Not to say that they don't have to be done. They must be done. But we have to bear in mind that those things don't move the island forward. They don't bring work, they don't bring investment, they don't bring opportunity. And so we have to...
What about the ease and comfort of the citizens of the island?
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying, they have to be done. But as a focus, my opinion, a government has to focus on the things that impact the economy and the future and employment in the future and so on. That has to be the focus. Because when you do that, you'll always find money to buy your window when you build your house, because you're going to save a little money, you're going to stop drinking beers, and you're going to buy your window eventually. But you wouldn't, if you buy windows and put them down, you never build the house.
So concentrate on the larger.
And that I'm saying, that has to be the focus, right? But there are some things that have been left unattended for years. There have been some planning and design things that, in my opinion, willfully designed to keep Tobago from rising. And those things need to be corrected. The road to Windward in the villages, sidewalks, maybe one of those things. But we have lived in a nation where we've been boxed in. So we have the road around the island on the periphery, and we've been told for years that the rainforest is untouchable. And when the sea starts to take back some of the road, we have challenges with getting approval to do a revetment from EMA. So we in Tobago, we have to be careful in how we present ourselves to the people and to the country. Because this design, subliminal as it is in some cases, are not of us. And we have to chart our own course if we are to succeed. Otherwise, we'll be trapped forever. Limited by design challenges, limited by legal challenges, limited by legislative hindrances, and we will never be able to go forward.
Right, and I know earlier on I asked you about some of the accomplishments, and I think I interjected. So let's go back to that. I interrupted, so my apologies. Yeah. So let's go back to some of the achievements and accomplishments.
Well, as Secretary for Infrastructure, I think we have demonstrated quite clearly that the human resource capital we have in the division given the right tools and the right encouragement and the right motivation and so on, can produce for Tobago. We still have productivity challenges in some areas, of course, across the THA. But we have moved a mountain in Castara with THA Works Division workers. We have built massive retaining walls, things that were never done. I was reminded this morning by a video I saw online from Jay Boxer about the last administration saying the road could not be, removal of the steps at King Peter Bay Hill could not be done. And we came in, and in our first year, in the rainy season, that was done in a few months. And so we have demonstrated at the division that we have the capacity to construct, the capacity to manage. The road, through friendship, was managed by division staff, no consultants. And of course, we are very proud that we persevered despite the talk, despite the challenges, despite the attacks from politicians and the EMA and so on. We persisted to be able to give Tobago the gift of that road. And the road is not just to open out Friendship and Cove. The road, I want it to be seen as a symbol of what a Tobago THA Tobago government can do if given the resources. Because I remember that Patrick Manning came and put up a billboard right at Rocky Vale Junction with a red road going east to Charlottesville. It's never been done. So we are always acutely aware of promises coming from the central government in order to woo Tobagonians to vote a particular way or to keep us in abeyance somewhere with no intent. The road that they kept talking about coming behind the airport and coming over to Friendship, they had no intention to do it. It was just a design gimmick. They had no intention, as clearly by the fact that they never bought the land. They never had conversation with the landowners, much less to design something. It's just designed to trap you into saying, this will come for you. What we have done is to say, we ain't talking, We come to act, and we acting, and we going forward. Big man thing. We just want to do the thing. And we want Tobagonians to understand.
Big man thing.
Big man thing. What I say in that movie?
When you come
good,
to
bad, and when it comes to shoot and don't talk. You see, you're close to my age, Rhea.
Thank you, Daddy, for letting me see that one. Okay. All right. When you come to shoot, so you all have come to act.
We come to
no
work.
talk.
We come to work.
Straight talk. No chaser.
No chaser. We come to work.
So that road would be one of the major. You consider one of the major accomplishments.
Absolutely.
All right.
That road.
Give us two more.
But I'm very proud of the road at King Peter Bay Hill, because at the time when we conceptualized moving the stairs, we identified other stairs in Mason Hall, in Speyside, and so on. And we were toying with the idea of coming up a stair removal program to give people vehicular access up the hills. And the Show Me a Road kind of thing that we developed was intended to do that kind of thing, to give persons, because of our topography, access to the houses in cases of emergency, and to facilitate better, easier construction on the slopes and so on. Of course, we never had the money to do it, but yeah, we that road, Friendship Road, the road through Smithfield here, coming over to Dodgeford, going up the road there. I think those three projects were, for me, highlights. The development team fixing that failure in Castara. Big project. Big kudos to them.
All right. But we're going to take another break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the export license that was just granted to Tobago when the Prime Minister and her cabinet were in Tobago just about a week or so ago. And as well, we are going to talk a little bit about the licensing department. The licensing, I know there's some drivers out there, they want to hear a little bit about that. And we're going to talk about that when we come back from the break this morning. Remember, viewers, it is Beneath the Surface. Straight talk, no chaser.
And hear me neighbor, 60,000 people strong, and the vibes is
Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Tobago, the breakfast vibes you've been waiting for is here.
When you rum, tell you you's a big dancer.
It's time for Sun Up Tobago, the ultimate breakfast inclusive cooler party that kicks off your carnival in style.
We aim to take shots. She come.
Join us on Thursday, October 23rd. 6 a.m. noon at Scarborough House, 138 Milford Road. Music pumping, breakfast sizzling, coolers flowing, and vibes unmatched. A sun, sea, soca, and celebration collides. Get your early bird tickets now at Pablo Supermarkets, Barcode, Lost Restaurant and Lounge, Signature Cuts, IslandEtickets.com, and committee members. Don't miss the event where Tobago Carnival truly begins. Sun Up Tobago. Come for the breakfast, stay for the vibe.
Tobago Television recognizes women in business. Every Thursday morning on The Morning Show, we engage with women-owned and operated businesses from right here in Tobago. We'll discover these women, their businesses, what inspired their business, their highs and their lows,
and their encouragement to you. Join me, your host, Adana Kambi, this and every Thursday on The Morning Show from 7:40 a.m. as we celebrate and encourage women in business.
Coconut's Cafe, the buffet restaurant that specializes in all your tasty local dishes. For breakfast and for lunch. Breakfast includes coconut bake and sada roti, served with chokers, bull joil, and sausages in tomato sauce. Not forgetting beef and cheese pies, shepherd's pie, macaroni pie, and rice in various styles. Meat served in a variety of flavors, garden salads, and pasta salads. All this accompanied by fruit juices, coconut water, your choice of a great combination to appease your taste buds. So call us today to order, as we are here to accommodate your busy schedules or if you are having a cooking day off.
Welcome back this morning to Beneath the Surface. Straight talk, no chaser. We're still chatting this morning with Assemblyman Trevor James. Trevor Williamson James. And, we want to hear from him this morning with regards to that export license that was just received by the THA from central government about a week ago, and what it actually means for the people of Tobago. What does it mean for us? What are we now able to do that we could not do before?
So we inherited a company spell that was formed in 2017 that for a major part operating with equipment that was 15, 20, some, I think the Cedar Rapids was 33 years old, which was limiting our productive capacity at spell. And at the same time, we were faced with this enormous demand out of Guyana, was just opening up. They had found oil and energy and so on. We have all this demand for our aggregate being one of the better aggregates in the region. Mm-hmm. And we could not supply because we couldn't increase production. And so we needed to find a way in order to repay an investment in US dollars. And so the export license will allow us to do that. It was a case we presented to the PNM administration in Port of Spain, and they refused to grant the license. We now have the opportunity to change the quarry completely. We have the opportunity to go to a financial institution and say, listen, we can now borrow this whatever million US dollars, and we can repay it because we can now gain the necessary foreign exchange to do that. And so the license allows us to completely reorganize spell, and given that we can now make the case of a payback. Okay. No doubt there is need for new mobile fleet at the quarry, a new crushing plant, and we are already in the process of getting the executive council to approve spell, give spell the authority in order to acquire this investment on behalf of the THA and on behalf of the people of Tobago. So that is the basic idea of the license. Of course, we'll be able to export, and we will answer some of those questions in the house today, so that people can tune in and see PNM are asking us the questions about the quarry suddenly. But the license is a good thing, and I think we have finally gotten a Ministry of Energy who understands how Tobago should be going forward. That's separate and apart from the idea of whether the THA should in fact be the entity issuing the license. And that too part of the conversation that we have started to have with the minister, and we would see how that rolls out. But there is that concern that people in the public have raised with me about whether in fact the THA Act should not in this case supersede the Minerals Authority Act, and the THA should be the entity given spell the license, and all quarries in Tobago license to operate and license to export. But that is a conversation for a different thing. But just before you go on,
yes,
I erred in not mentioning the performance of the URP. The URP has been steadily improving. We've reorganized, and we are still reorganizing to get the best out of the URP. The URP has something like 1,300 staff, and we've been engaged in all sorts of work, infrastructure work, roof repair. We build over houses for people if they have their own material. We build coffins, and you would have seen in the last 2 or 3 months, we've had this major push in agriculture. We are now going into the schools and hoping to inspire students to get into agriculture, because we see agriculture as the foundation of everything in Tobago. If we want to produce anything, it will come from the land, and that's where we would start. And we're hoping that the next generation can be inspired to begin to produce and to begin to add value to the natural thing that we produce, so we can begin to have a new entrepreneurial kind of a spirit that starts from the ground, and hopefully that will begin to take root as we begin to have the students help the teachers, give them technical support, and hopefully some of the students will get back into agriculture. We've had this culture since Dude and so on, under the PNM, where people moved away from the land. I remember as a young boy in Winford Shoulder going up to Zion Hill to see Eric Williams talk, and so on, 5 or 6 years. And one of the first things he said is that you don't have to plant any garden anymore. We'd give you a job.
So there was a clear shift away from...
Exactly, and we need to get people back into loving the agriculture, because
Feeding
if we
themselves.
can't feed ourselves in Tobago, we are importing, last time I think was $300 million every year of agricultural produce from Trinidad. If a storm hits Port of Spain tomorrow, we are literally going to die. So the program is intended to see how we can tweak it, to see how we can inspire, motivate a new generation of farmers coming through the school system. So that's a big thing for the URP.
Okay, partnering with the Division of Agriculture, yes?
Yes, partnering with the Division of Agriculture.
All right. Now, I want to talk a little bit, ask you here, not me talk, but, you answer, ask you rather, concerning the licensing traffic enforcement, what's been happening in Tobago. Now, this is persons doing their job. This is licensing department licensing officers doing their job. With regards to the feel on the ground, people on the ground, drivers, road users who are struggling to survive and keep their, I see it, we see it from various angles here. Licensing department doing their job, road users trying to maintain their vehicles and have them roadworthy enough to be on the roads, but licensing doing their jobs. Now let's talk a little bit here. Now this falls under your purview. There is some tension between road users and the licensing department, and how do we balance? Again, this is people doing their job. This is their job. This is their job. But when these officers are out, as you see, there is low production. There are no drivers few drivers on the road. People in the East cannot get transportation to go home. Their persons are struggling. It's a whole scene when these licensing officers not being referred to by the public as the white shirts.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about that.
There were 2 or 3 issues there. The there is a need to clarify the law. Licensing authority is under the THA. In law, the head of licensing division is under the Ministry of Works in Trinidad, and the officers report to that entity.
Right.
And they send officers to Tobago, and we pay them. And so we in the THA pay them, and probably give them a house and wherever they just get. Right?
This is very interesting.
And so again, as part of the autonomy thing, because the licensing department, so if you want to get a class 5 or a class 7 license now, you have to go to Trinidad. Right? You can't
Our
do it in
licensing
Tobago.
department does not have the teeth to issue.
No, it is regulated by a committee in Trinidad, and you have to go to Trinidad. If we for example, we have bought a low boy. We, the Division of Infrastructure, bought a low boy. We've had it close to 6 months, and we can't get it licensed because we have to wait on a committee in Trinidad, sitting in Trinidad, to give us in Tobago, who in charge of licensing in Tobago, the entity in charge of licensing in Tobago, the entity who pays the staff in Tobago, have to wait on a committee in Trinidad to give us the license so that we could drive a low boy in Tobago.
How long have you
We've had the low boy on our compound now for almost 6 months.
Right.
And so there are legislative things which need to be sorted out, right? My sympathy, of course, after licensing breaking my house and breaking my yard and try to embarrass me.
Yes.
My sympathy, of course, is with the people. I really believe that while there are some lawless people, the majority of persons are in fact struggling to survive. When this is another law that has not come from us in Tobago, and another set of officers that come up to police us as though we are foolish in Tobago. And my sympathy is to the people. Although I'm in government, I really want to be clear to be saying that you must keep the law as best as you can. However, I know of people, several people, who can't put food on the table and walk in, and had to pay for their car and can buy tires this month, but the tires are almost smooth.
Now we understand the risk it poses.
But that is what we do. When you leave home and you drive down the road, you are calculating the risk that a man go keep the law and ain't go bounce you. And that risk is mitigated by your insurance. And we all take that risk.
Yeah.
And so my sympathy is to the driver. I really feel that the law is draconian and it should be looked at. I don't have the figures to calculate what's the loss in productivity when people stay home when white shirts in Tobago, but I assume that will be a high figure, and it's something to be looked at. The law itself needs to be tweaked, I believe, and maybe have warnings and so on, and give somebody time to buy a new tire or to. I hear they're charging people for your seat have a tear on it, and I said, I'm madness. You know? So I think the law needs to be looked at, and maybe that's something we could attack in the next 4 years, but clearly my sympathy is with the road user.
Very quickly here, what grade would you give yourself in terms of your performance? And we haven't spoken as well, we have not yet spoken about in and around your electoral district, some of the accomplishments. We spoke about, within the division, but before we get to the grade, your electoral district, give us quickly here some of the highlights, some of the things that you were able to do within the electoral district. And I don't mean to rush you, but I know time is of the essence, and time really flies when we're having fun.
You want me to rattle off 5 things for you?
You can.
No. We when we walked, twice we walked, in January and in December, for January election and December elections. We made certain promises if we got into office, and I've tried to keep all those promises. The biggest promise we made, of course, was to fix Mongrace playing field, rehabilitate it, and I'm proud that we were able to do that. You know, even the challenges at the Division of Sports and so on, the village council came to me after and say, listen, James, this is what you told us you would do, and I had to use some of my own resources to get it done. But being who I am, the field is now done, and the people are enjoying the field. So that's one of the big achievements for me. We will go to Collar Hall next year. But we made a promise to fix the bridge at Grogo Patch. And we did that. I know the people at Grogo Patch, good morning to you all, still want the road to be fixed and still got customer because the road ain't fixed. But, you know, that's part of the thing. But we made a promise to fix the bridge. And we did, in fact, deliver the bridge. I'm negotiating with Secretary Pollard to have the lights installed along the road before Christmas. We've built over the drains at Abraham Trace, that whole drain from almost Color traffic light that goes down and comes out at Rockleyville traffic light. We've upgraded that drain with a lot of flooding in the back there. We fixed over Abraham Trace. We've retained the Color Hall playing field with a nice fancy looking stone wall. And you know, we've paved and patched different roads in the district and so on. And we've built over drains along Northside Road in Rockleyville. And so I think we've touched almost every polling division in the district. We've built over that road by James Crescent, no relation of mine, but that road down at James Crescent, maybe some pumpkin vine family that was there. We still have a little piece to finish in the end. So we've tried to touch every corner of the district and to focus on projects that impact the majority. I know that there are a lot of persons who've come with a wall to do here and a road to do there. We'll get to that, but I try to focus on the projects that would touch the majority.
Right.
And I think in large part I was able to do that. The patching and the paving and so on will continue. But yeah, we've kept hamper drives all through the year, children party on the softer side of things all through the year. And this year we'll have a grand Christmas treat, you know. And so we think we have attempted to touch the people in the district, and I think we've done that, and we've found ways to show the people that we care, and we demonstrating our concern and trying to fulfill the needs of the people as best as we can. It's not an easy job, but we do the best that we can.
What grade would you give yourself? A to F?
A to F?
A to F.
Rhea, I tell my children that my mother told me that I can only come first in tests. There was no other,
based on your performance over the last 4 years.
This is the forward. Yes. This is the forward. This is the forward. And I have done my best with the resources that was available to me at the division. And I think I don't want to grade myself, but I think the public will grade me with an A.
With an?
With an A.
With an A. Okay.
If not an A+.
Okay. Very confident.
Well, I can't grade myself. The public will judge and public will grade.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Finally here. As we look, you've thrown your hat into the ring again. You're offering yourself up for a nomination for election. I see we recognize that two other persons from within your electoral district have also thrown their hat into the ring. What would it suggest? I know there's some communities where some persons are going up unopposed, as in the case of Assemblyman Charles Panton and others. Two persons in your case, in some instances, some persons, 9 persons within electoral districts offering themselves up to be screened. What would it suggest to you that there are two other persons who are saying, look, I think I can do this? Trevor James makes it look pretty easy, or I don't think he's doing such a good job. I think I have what it takes to do better. What does it suggest to you?
That other people have thrown their hat in the ring?
Yeah.
No, listen, we are individuals, and people, in my mind, should be free to offer themselves. And I'm happy that people think that they can serve Tobago from the district of Scarborough-Mount-Grace. And so it's a good thing that there's competition. I want to say, though, that from some of the conversations I am seeing on Facebook and so on, that the public has to bear in mind what it really means to be a representative. I think we're not crystal clear on what it means or what it takes. A representative in the THA is someone who can connect with the people supposedly on the ground, wherever that ground is. They can connect with the people in the district, can represent the people in trying to meet their desires and their needs and their goals and their aspirations. The representative must be able to contribute in the House, in the plenary, to be able to impact the legislative agenda, to be able to go out into Trinidad and out in the world, to be the face of the THA, to be able to speak the right things, to be able to answer off the cuff. The representative has to be the person who can run a division.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to be clear that we understand where we have come from.
Okay.
We've seen all kinds of people in the past get voted into office as representatives and could not deliver because they made a choice on one of those things. And it is something that we in Tobago have to be very careful about.
Okay.
You're going to find that you have to find someone who can manage $500,000 in a division. You find someone who can go and write a speech to defend the autonomy struggle in Trinidad and Tobago. And someone who can deliver a playing field in Mount Grace with no resources.
Okay. Got it. Noted. Just as we're wrapping up here, Mr. James, Assemblyman James, what would you say to the people of your electoral district? Why does Trevor James deserve another term in office? Why does Assemblyman Trevor Williamson James deserve another term in office?
I think I have demonstrated that I am of the people. I think there is this idea that James is this aloft, educated fella who don't talk to the people and who not on the ground. That's why I started out with the fact that I'm a carpenter.
Because Joseph was a carpenter, yes. Go ahead.
I don't know if Joseph was a carpenter, but I started with that fact. Because there is this conversation, right? That James is this aloft, bright fella, his children and them bright, and he feel better than people, and me can't talk dialect, and me could, right?
Well, you can. Okay, go ahead.
So I have demonstrated in the district that I can represent them, that I have delivered for them. It has not been an easy road meeting all the needs. Obviously, there are things that will always be there to be done. No representative can do everything, certainly not in 4 years. And when you do something this year, you might have to repeat it next year. And so I have made promises, and I've kept all the promises that I have made to the people when I walked. Okay. And that must, in my mind, count for something. Could I have been a better representative? People will argue that I should go by the bar more often, or I should go by the playing field more often.
Pay for a round of drinks.
Well, that has been done.
Okay.
But they'll argue that they don't see more of that. People in Calder Hall, some of them are peeved because I spend a lot of time trying to fix the field in Mount Grace. So you can't do everything, but
please all of the people all of the time.
All of the time. But I think I've acted in every polling division to say that I have been your representative. I want to deliver for you. I plan to deliver. I promise to deliver, and I have in fact delivered. Okay. So I think with those words, I think people should in fact be confident that Trevor is the man.
Okay, with the plan. Thank you so much for chatting with us this morning, Assemblyman Trevor Williamson James. We want to thank you, viewers, for joining us for this episode of Beneath the Surface Straight Talk, No Chaser. You can join us tomorrow right here from 8 a.m. for another episode of Beneath the Surface Straight Talk, No Chaser. We encourage you to have a great day. Bye-bye, Tobago.
Let's go, go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning as the passion start to rise.